Okay, but yo, 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 what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? It's my man here, Machine, back here for another interesting top 10. I think I'm gonna enjoy this one. I think this is one where um this was a hard one. And now I don't want to reveal too much. So basically, just like last one before, should we mention the people that didn't make our top 10, or should we just go straight into our top 10?
I think we should, for sure, man, for sure. I think there's going to be a lot of overlap in this list between.
Oh, for sure. No. Basically, the overlap will be there, but I think it's going to be about where we position them, and I think the positioning is going to be key. And also, didn't you know what it was? I actually changed the title to best because I think that there's a difference between best and greatest.
Yeah, that's something that. So you put best. For me, I sort of when I was trying to figure out what were the parameters to compile this list, I couldn't just do best because it would have been there's a lot of very accomplished thespians that are not that interesting to watch. You know what I mean? They just don't have that extra layer of charisma.
I think for me, I did this as like a combination of best and greatest and try to combine them the most. So it's in terms of quality, technical quality, and also your input on what you've done in the craft. Because again, a little thing, if in case guys didn't know, I actually began, like, acting was the first thing that I actually really wanted to do. So I went to auditions, I did short films, I was in an acting school for a short period of time. So acting was my thing, and I've been acting since I was like about 5-6 years old. So I was in like my school plays. My older brothers and sisters would put me in films, and basically my friend who's now a director, he directs music videos and he directs films. It was me, my other friend, and him who used to basically, we actually were the reason why film studies was introduced into our school, because we made the first film in the school, became really famous and all that kind of stuff. Wow. So, so when I look at acting, I'm very, very critical of acting, and that is why, I'm like, I can tell a crappy actor from a really good actor. So Christian Bale isn't on this list.
No, he's not. All right, man. He's not on this list, but he's on my to be mentions because I think his commitment to some of the roles and yeah, but I agree with you. He's just shy of the top 10 for sure. But you don't like him at all, from what I understand.
Well, no. I think he is an extremely talented actor, but I just don't think he is as good as I thought he was. As in, when he did American History X and sorry, when he did American Psycho, and Equilibrium, I was like, oh, geez, this guy's going to be the next big thing. But then he never really lived up to him becoming.
He sort of got stuck. Some actors get stuck in a role, and I feel like he got stuck in the Bruce Wayne Batman role. Even transitioning from Batman to John Connor in the T3 or T4 movies. He even had that voice, man. He was still stuck with that gruff, speaking like this. But yeah, he's a very talented actor, I think.
Okay, so don't just say well, we have because I've put them in a playlist of the top 10, but we have done top 10 cartoons of all time. Well, was it? Yeah, we did a top 10 cartoon shows of all time. So this is actually critical list. Hopkins, DDL, De Niro, Hanks are my favorites, but the best actor probably Gary Oldman. Look, all will be revealed. All will be revealed, man. So
chill. Let us land.
Yeah, let's. Okay, so do you want to do the people that didn't make a top 10, or should we just go straight into
it? I'll read them really quick, and if one of them stands out to you, maybe we can expound on it.
Okay.
Benicio del Toro, Ed Harris, Cillian Murphy, Jim Carrey, Johnny Depp,
Johnny Depp.
Yeah. Bale, Newman, Paul Newman, Kirk Douglas, Charlton Heston, Duvall, Keitel, Montgomery Clift, who's the OG Tom Cruise, Peter Ustinov, James Garner, and Gene Wilder.
Yeah, that's the. Wait, did you ever watch Nero?
Yes, he's amazing in it.
Man, that guy was. But also, so remember the Disney Robin Hood?
Was he? Yeah, he was in it, right? Yeah,
He was the king, like the really wimpy king. Yeah.
The king. Okay, yeah.
So basically, so let me read you mine. So mine are Philip Seymour Hoffman, Forrest Whitaker, John Voight, Samuel Jackson, Peter O'Toole, Jack Nicholson, Lawrence Fishburne, Anthony Hopkins, Tom Hanks.
Wow, man.
So there are some heavy.
That's
so yeah,
controversial picks outside of the top 10.
Yeah, those are some heavy hitters that I put out there. But you know, it's our basically when we do this, we will. I'll just try and give my explanation as to why I put them here on this list and for what reason and everything and so forth. So,
the other one that just didn't make it just a little bit. He was so close to making it to the top 10. For me, was Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm joking, but actually,
no. This dude was literally this close away from top 10, and that was who I think is one of the most underrated actors of all time. The great thespian Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, very.
He was literally this close from making it in there, man. But it is what it is, man. Because I just thought his performance in Twins, I think, is one of the top 5.
It still makes me mad. I get goosebumps, man.
Yeah, no, look, man, it's legendary. Okay, look, man, we're gonna start first with number 10. So, actually, no, wait. Hold right there, guys. Hold right there. Just keep drinking.
I'll keep drinking. No, he's actually gonna get. It's a surprise to you guys. He's gonna get a special person to come in. DiCaprio is actually friends with HH, and he's agreed to make a small cameo in the show.
There is no way in hell you are going to have a drink, and I'm not going to have one. So, guys, while he has his $3,000 30-year I'm rolling with the Jack Daniels Tennessee Honey, and you guys better cut that check. So we just want to christen this. So let's just do what I think they do, like Salo or whatever it is. So let me just give myself a small thingy. So to christen this top 10, cheers.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
To acting.
Cheers to acting. Cheers to thespians and acting.
To the art of acting.
Oh, wow. Okay. So number 10.
Number 10. And I was sort of like, should I include this guy? Should I not include him? And people are going to be shocked when I say his name, but I do think he had his heyday, and he was very, very strong during this time period, and had a nice melding of charisma, magnetism, screen presence, and sort of like a fiery look to him that was unique. But he's since fallen off the rails and become a caricature of himself and sort of a comical figure, and that's Al Pacino. Oh man! So are you?
Wait. See, now this has gotten off to an amazing, because now I am desperate to know the 9 people you've put ahead of Al Pacino.
Dude, you'll see. That's part of the charm of this list. But I will say this: I understand that this is a shock to you, but he is in the top 10 after all. But would you agree that he's become sort of a comical, farcical persona?
Do you know what? The thing about Al Pacino, this is what I'll say in his defense. And he even said this on Inside the Actors Studio. Praise me all he wants for Scarface and everything. I'm at the behest of the Bible, which is the screenplay. We're living in a world now where, for some strange reason, quality scripts just aren't being given to people of his age, and obviously all the great material is on TV, and the quality material for films, specifically for people of his age, just aren't really been given to him. So that's why he has to go and do a flipping hangman. He has to do that stupid John Avnet film and
He
this
does whatever he wants,
horrible,
man.
that stupid
He's still
Amazon
Pacino.
series. So
He's still Pacino. He can still get some very meaty roles, but I feel like his approach to it he's become sort of like a guy who's become reduced to going, oh, and screaming and being like a loud personality. And
I was gonna say your face went crazy there.
It did, like Pacino. Those guys.
Oh yeah. I think this guy is concerned that you're going to become an alcoholic, so don't drink too much, bro.
I only drink during these streams,
Oh, okay.
and during COVID times, just to keep it interesting. But you see it in Heat. I think it was his last very subdued performance, although he does still have that line where he goes, because she's got a great ass.
And you got a face all the way up in it.
All the way up in it, yeah.
What about big asses?
But
Sit down.
But the Oscar he won for The Scent of a Woman is one of the most farcical Oscars ever attributed. I thought it was a terrible performance. He was reduced to screaming the whole time. He's one of the least charismatic leading figures that I can remember. And the movie's just very poor, His performance is one note, and the movie is very poor. And ever since then, he's become sort of like the screaming, the guy, the fiery personality that just can't hold all that intensivity and passion, and it's become a little tired, more than a little tired. But in the 70s and then on through to the 80s, he was a tremendous actor who made very interesting choices. It's interesting because if you look at him in the movie that sort of became his breakout role, which is The Godfather, he's a totally different personality. He's a very reserved, very quiet, very thoughtful, ponderous person and personality. And all that passion that you see via screaming in his later years, you can see like exuding from his eyes. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to say anything. He just has to you just have to look at his eyes and that intensivity. I don't know if that's a word. I'm pretty sure it is, but just exudes out of his pores and his eyes, which is what I like, man. I like subdued performances. I don't like overly boisterous scenes.
Oh no. And I think I don't know what happened, because I think it is true. Like Pacino in the early years did quiet really well, and for me, I love subtlety. And for some reason, he then was like, and I need to sort of shout, because obviously remember he comes from the theater, so for some reason he brought the kind of theater into his roles older, where you now have to do everything larger and bigger, whereas he was able to, because they always say like to act for the camera, because the camera is very small and you have to be very much more intimate, because when you're on stage, it's about projecting to the guy at the very end of the room. But when you're in the camera, you have to act just into the guy just right in front of you. But his acting now is as if he just has to project. Because obviously he still loves theater and everything, but it's like theater and film are completely different schools. So
yeah, intensity. I don't know why I was saying intensivity.
Intensity.
I think that's the name of a porn film.
Look, it's the drink when it's a drink. All right, so number 10 is your thing. So here's my number 10, and this may be one that may surprise people, but I am going to go out on a limb and give it. My number 10 is Viola Davis. Viola Davis is my number 10.
I don't even know who that is, man. Who?
What?
Viola Davis.
So you never watched Fences?
No, I don't know who that is.
Oh my god! So basically, for me, I
need to get a woman in here, because you were asking me about
Basically, Machine is a full-on sexist. That's what we're saying here. So
I'm
basically,
not, no, I just had
I hope
strong.
your wife sees this vid. Basically, I hope your wife sees this vid and she reconsiders those vows that were made because wow, okay, because you knew it was actors and you purposefully were sexist to the thing. So basically, for me, I just think like Viola Davis already, I feel she's already put herself as one of the best female actors of all time. I think she's already, I mean, the levels that she can reach dramatically.
Okay, what did she do beyond Fences? Because I didn't watch that.
So basically, just like her command of the screen and so forth is powerful. And I think the amazing thing is that what she's done in such a short space of time, because she's been acting for a while, but like most actors, it takes a long time for you to get a really big bump. And in the last few years, she really got a really big bump, and already watched the impact that she's already made and how people already talk about her just speaks volumes with regards to how much she's already been able to make an impact on acting, specifically for women in such a short space of time. So yeah, for me, I just think that see, right now she is the best actress right now. I think based on, I don't think there is a better actress right now than now. She's not the greatest actress of all time, but she's definitely the best actress right now. And I think she's easily one of the most sought after. And she's one of those actresses where like any film she's given, she's going to give you 100% acting wise like that. So, and also she has an amazing meme on Twitter, well, rather GIF on Twitter. So Viola Davis is my number 10.
Okay.
So ready
that's more controversial than me putting Pacino in number 10.
No. I want to know who your other things are. So what is your number 9?
All right. Okay. My number 1, you want me to skip to number 1?
No, 9.
Okay, number 9. Number 9 is the great Denzel Washington.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, 9.
Is that too low for you?
Yes.
You're giving it away, man. You're giving your list away. But I think he's got, it's very rare that you can coalesce the degree of magnetism that he has on screen with genuine acting chops. And that makes a superstar, you know what I mean? And Denzel Washington is one of the very, very few superstars that come along in every 10 years, you know what I mean? You don't get guys like Tom Cruise or Denzel Washington or well, he's just, I'm even struggling to remember another one, but Denzel and Cruise are very rare cats. And why are they superstars? Because not only are they incredibly magnetic and inspire sort of an entire generation, and the way that they speak and the way that they dress and the way that they comport themselves on screen, but they also have genuine acting chops that can transmit emotion in a way that very few people can. They might not be quite as chameleonic as some of the more dedicated thespians and people who are method actors and all that, but they're extremely competent at what they do.
Denzel above Pacino.
Denzel above Pacino, yeah, for sure, because Pacino, Denzel's been consistent. He's never lost it. You can hire Denzel for a movie now. He's going to kill it, and he's not going to look like a fool. You know what I mean? And he's more judicious about the roles that he picks, whereas Pacino just seems more interested in cashing in a check, basically.
Oof. Ouch. Or no, for me, no.
I'm not but can we really criticize that these people that much, because they've had such a long career of making, dedicating themselves to this craft, and they're
almost killing themselves and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, they're old. They're like, I've done it all before. We'd all be doing the same thing, by the way. I don't want to be judgmental.
No, it's just that I think we, because you were such huge fans of them growing up, we want them to sort of maintain
that's
quality right. So it's like, for me, when I see Pacino in a Jack and Jill, my heart just sinks, because I'm like, what is, even when Pacino was in that Amazon series, like, wait, what is Pacino doing in an Amazon TV series?
Yeah.
So Wait. Is your phone? I'm hearing like a phone thing. Is
It's
that your
people,
phone?
and I'm very like there's constantly people trying to like speak to me. You know what I mean? Let me
Oh,
put it.
okay. I mean, if you could just maybe put on like vibrate.
I'm very in demand. But yes, go
Look, man, you're the great machine, man.
ahead.
So my number nine, I feel that you know what, I'm just gonna just put it out there. Um, Meryl Streep. I feel and believe that she is the best and greatest actress of all time. Her versatility, the roles she's taken, how well she's done the roles. I think one of her most underrated performances is in The Iron Lady, where she plays Margaret Thatcher and so forth. So just the multitude of roles and just how well she's done them and the diversity of the roles, I just think really puts her in there as one of the top actresses ever. And I don't think there's any other actress that has done what she has done to the extent that she has done. So I'm going to say to you, Machine, how is Meryl Streep not on your top 10?
Because I think that she's a fantastic actress. I think you're being a little PC with this list, by the way.
No. See, for me, I the Meryl Streep thing, I 100% believe that. Because I was having a conversation with like because again, me and my family were like huge film geeks and stuff. And we said, no, like Meryl Streep, based on what she's done, she should be put on the level of what the other male actors have done. Because again, like when you just look at how well she disappears in these kinds of
Yeah,
roles.
listen, I think she's an amazing actress. But yeah, I may have a little bit of a bias because I really don't like some of the positions and the stands that she's taken personally, and like being all about the Me Too movement, but then shilling for somebody like Harvey Weinstein at the same time, and thanking him for and not only him, but also Polanski, who's a child rapist,
Oh yeah.
basically. So it's like
No, no, no,
that's sort of like like that very jarring hypocrisy.
See, this is my issue. Is like this is why I try really because I'm so into an actor, I like to look at the interviews and everything, but I try to stop myself because I'm like, yo, they just pretend to be other people. Forget about what they are as people. I only care about you based on your talent. I don't care about you as a person. No, I mean, obviously I care about you as another human to human, but I don't like when actors go out and do interviews, do things, say political statements and stuff. Obviously, I'm not saying that you shouldn't and everything. You should do what you do, but I'm like, bro, just act. Just act. Like,
Mm.
why do you feel a need to be like boxers or football players or sports people don't feel a need to come out and say stuff? So as an actor,
But you know why? But you know why they feel the need to do that? Because it's building a persona that they feel enhances their career. So if they come out and they say what they think is the right thing, the thing that's going to get them the most brownie points with the masses.
But my thing is, shouldn't your talent judge how good your career is? Like a football player, if I'm good, I'm good. I don't need to make a liberal statement to win brownie points and therefore win a place at a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or so forth. So if you're good enough and you crush the auditions and so forth, that's good. Like, why do you feel the need that, I need to build this persona to win the brownie points and therefore put myself in the best position to get these roles? I just think that's just that's stupid. This is
the adulation is a big part of what entails being an actor and particularly a superstar. A star. If you want to be a star, then you have to be loved by the people, and if you want to be loved by the people, then you have to say the things that your publicist feels that you should say, and that also you in your mind think is going to play the best to the audience, to the public. And that's why so frequently actors are in real life, in their private lives, are so drastically and so far removed from their public personas. Usually they're pricks in real life, and whereas their public facade is like, oh man, this guy is just perfect. But then they have a very
I mean,
intense.
like Hollywood is fake though. Like Hollywood is notoriously a fake place filled with
I'm
fake,
not
fake
saying
people.
everybody's like that, but but it's only natural, man. If you go out into the world and everybody thinks you're amazing and stuff, there's something in that process that makes you revolt against it,
Yeah.
and the dark side sort of like increases. It's also like somebody that seeks out superstardom is already a special kind of creature to begin with.
All right.
Um,
So what's your numero ocho, your number 8?
Numero ocho. My numero 8 is a cat that I think you'll appreciate. His name is Tom Cruise. I was trying to remember his full name. Thomas Maypother the Fourth Cruise or something like that.
Oh wow, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So why do I put him in there? Because I feel that he has genuine acting chops. I do feel that as of late, he's sort of slowly starting to become a caricature of himself as well. But he had an unparalleled 30-year run, I feel, or maybe even more than that, where he's like the world's number one star or close to it. And he's done so by picking very interesting roles, taking great choices, making great choices, pairing himself up with the best directors out there, and picking the material through the directorial talent attached to the material. And he has an entire oeuvre of fantastic performances. I'll give you. Let me name a few. Rain Man, where he arguably he does just as good a job. You could say that that's actually Hoffman's greatest role as Rain Man, and I would argue that Tom Cruise is just as good in that movie as Hoffman.
Actually, no. Hoffman's greatest role is his best role is Midnight Cowboy, but his most popular is Rain Man.
Okay. Interview with a Vampire, where he out acts Brad Pitt and just destroys Brad Pitt. Magnolia, which is a movie that neither you or I are big fans of, but I think his performance is it's almost worth watching. Stomaching the entire movie just for that performance alone. And his best performance, in my appreciation, which is Born on the 4th of July, where he got robbed of an Oscar.
But then again, it goes to the whole thing of like,
Vanilla Sky.
if
Vanilla
you're
Sky is
disabled,
fantastic in Vanilla Sky as well.
No. Basically, like if you're disabled or so forth, you're always going to get that one up. Because obviously, look, DeLuise was amazing in My Left Foot, but Tom Cruise acted because even when they interviewed him, because Tom Cruise said literally like, I couldn't give anymore. I literally gave everything I could in that film. I couldn't give any more. And it's like, yeah, I mean, the guy just went all out, Okay.
It's fantastic. It's a fantastic movie, and it's a fantastic, it's a tour de force performance, I felt. But you were mentioning the disability. He happens to be disabled as well. So it was like two disabled roles playing against each other. I think Born on the 4th of July is a far superior movie to My Left Foot.
No, it is easily. Like My Left Foot is not a very good, like it's a very standardized film. But remember, Oliver Stone was that's why Platoon is so good. He was a Vietnam vet. So whenever he did those Vietnam films, it was more personal because he had the experience of it, and everything. So the way it felt a bit more realer. Okay, so I suppose it's me for my number 8, isn't it?
Did you mention Philip Seymour Hoffman or no? You didn't.
I mentioned it on my didn't make it the list. Honorary mention.
That's another actor that I feel he outacts in Mission Impossible 3. Go watch the opening to Mission Impossible 3, which to me is one of the greatest openings of all time.
Wow.
And a fantastic performance by Cruise just in that 5-minute intro, where he really outacts Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's doing a great job in his own right, but he's sort of doing his angry shtick. And Cruise just kills it, man. He goes through a range of emotions in such a believable and and powerful way that it's worth watching. Worth a watch.
Did
Do
you know
it now. Do it now.
no. Do you know a very underrated Tom Cruise performance? Collateral.
Collateral, but I hate Michael Mann. That's why I'm.
Even if you don't like, because for me, Michael Mann for me is hot and cold. He can either give you the Ali Michael Mann, or he can give you the Heat Michael Mann. But this was sort of like in the middle. But Tom Cruise in that film, I thought was A1.
Yeah, Jimmy Fox is somebody that gets slept on a lot as well. You don't like Jimmy Fox?
I can't decide whether Jimmy Fox is a really good actor or a really good imitator. I can't decide.
Well, there's I
So
mean,
that's the thing,
it's sometimes it's one and the same.
That's just like for me. I like to have a performance rather than just you mimicking something. So, yeah. Okay, so my number is now. This might shock a few people by not that he's on the list, but how low he is on the list. And also, I'm seeing a lot of sexist comments in the list. Look, I'm not a feminist, okay? So I'm the last feminist you'll ever see, trust me. Morgan Freeman is my number 8. I don't think anybody can deny that he is one of the true great actors out there. And nobody does less is more better than Morgan Freeman. In terms of stillness, nobody does stillness better than Morgan Freeman. Could just look at you, not say anything, no facial expression, but you can count about thousands of emotions that's pierced through you by him just staring straight at you. So just
know what it is, man? I would describe it as, and he's another guy that I should have mentioned in my outside the top 10 list. It's called a quiet dignity. Yes, in his just demeanor. You know what I mean? And he does, like you said, he doesn't have to say anything. He just looks like a gentleman. You know what I mean?
Well, no, but because again, like I hate is that you don't like how they hate like the Oscar bait performances, where people just overact. He is the absolute opposite of doing that. He's about, okay, no. How can I? They always to say all these things to express this emotion. I say just tone it down. So and again, for me, I still say that his most popular performance is Shawshank Redemption. But for me, his best performance, and the one he won the Oscar for $1 Million Baby, but his best performance is Seven. I think what he does in Seven is outstanding. So yeah, Morgan Freeman is my numero ocho.
Well, we're really burning through these, man.
Yeah. Okay, what's the name of that drink machine?
It's called wine.
But I think you want to know what particular wine, what make.
It's a cheap wine, but it's excellent bang for buck, and it's called Cabeça de Touro, which means bull's head in Portuguese.
So you're literally drinking a bull's head.
I'm drinking a bull's head, exactly. So it's funny you mentioned Morgan Freeman because I feel like this is the white version of Morgan Freeman. I was talking about quiet dignity before. And I feel like this guy has it in spades, perhaps even more so than Morgan Freeman, if that's possible. And that's Anthony Hopkins. I don't know if he features in your list or not, but he's the sort of guy. He's the sort of, he just has like a very gentlemanly, very civilized, very wise look about him where like he doesn't have to say anything. His performances we were speaking about subdued performances. There's certain people that can just like the way they stand in a scene, they're already out acting everybody else in it, even though they have speaking lines, you know what I mean? And the other guy's just reacting. It's like a reaction shot or what have you. And that's Anthony Hopkins is one of those guys. And plus, when you add to that the whole British persona, which is funny because he's from Wales.
Yeah, no, he's Welsh.
He's Welsh, yeah. But that whole persona, I think he's the archetype of that. You know what I mean? The civilized, posh, kindly, gentleman, British gentleman.
No. But for me, I think no. I think beyond that, he can. There's an inner rage he can bring out. He can definitely bring that inner rage when he wants to. And for me, I think again, like I think we spoke about this briefly before. Like he gets likened way too much with Silence of the Lambs, and I think look, it makes sense because it was such an iconic performance. It was such an amazing film that people always liken him to that. But for me, that isn't his best film. Sorry, that isn't his best performance per se. I think that he was better as Odin, and I think that him in the Elephant's Man was really, really, really good.
He
And I
was
just
very underused. Listen, he was perfect casting as Odin, but he was so underused. He was shockingly
for sure. Look, those films are garbage, bro. Those films are flipping garbage.
What are you doing in this, man? But every time he speaks, he elevates the movie. That's the truth of it.
Because even whenever me and my friend watch the films, we're like, literally, he is literally the best thing about the film. So all we do is that we just go to his scenes, and that's like the films are crap, but his scenes are amazing. And I think, see, that is when you are a truly amazing actor, when you can rise above the crap around you and
just elevate the material. It's crazy. Yeah, of course, I completely agree with you. Shout out to his performance as well in Remains of the Day, Meet Joe Black, which is a movie that was directed by that other movie I hated, by the director of that other movie I hated, called Scent of a Woman. But I think that Meet Joe Black is a fantastic movie.
Do you know why I can't watch Meet Joe Black?
Because of Brad Pitt.
Yes. Like it's like for me, I'm like, it's just everything about him and that. So, and I'm sure because I keep seeing clips of Meet Joe Black, and I'm like, oh wow, Anthony Hopkins is like really good in this, but I have to get through the garbage that is Brad Pitt, which is just which was for me will be very, very difficult to do.
I think for every time Brad Pitt enters the scene, it goes like this, and then Anthony Hopkins brings it back up, and it's like it's a constant
down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
The end package is very nice.
He was really good in Amistad. He was really good in Amistad, very good, because again, like they gave him like makeup and stuff because he had like a balding hair, so he was really that's a good call. He was really good in that.
And you know what else about Anthony Hopkins? I'd be shocked if in real life he was a prick. I'd be very shocked. I mean, that would be such a heartbreaking conclusion.
But then but then wouldn't he be even more impressed if he turned out to be a prick?
Maybe, yeah, I'd be more
because of how good he's been able to mask himself being a because again, I agree with you, but yeah, it's like because he just feels like he'd be a very nice guy. And even when you see him interviewed, he's like, yeah, this just feels like a chilled out, nice dude,
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, but Anthony Hopkins, that's a good call. No, I think I should also mention him as well as one of my ones that I give an honorary mention to. So my number 7 is a big name. And people may say, why do you have this guy so low? But guys, it is what it is. And you personally would be like, why the hell do you have him this low? But that's the beauty of this top 10 list, bro. My number 7 is Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is my number 7. Again, look, you cannot have a top 10 list without Robert De Niro. I think, when you look at his early work, people can talk about some of the greatest performances they've ever seen in cinema, whether you want to look at Taxi Driver and look at Deer Hunter, and look at Goodfellas, and look at Raging Bull, Mean Streets. I mean, this guy was on a crazy, crazy run from the 70s, even through the 80s and so forth, I think even they said that Raging Bull was voted like the best film of the 80s, and that came out in 1980. And I think they said that is one of the best performances that was of the decade. Probably even the best performance of all time. One of the best performances of all time is what he did in Raging Bull, and that might have been one of the first times an actor physically changed himself for a role. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm tripping, but that might be the first time that De Niro actually. I think De Niro might have been the first actor that actually went through a physical transformation.
It definitely was one of the most sensationalistic body transformations that in cinema. Probably the first that I can remember, actually. because if you think about it, the idea of the method actor really started with the 70s generation, of which De Niro was the spearhead. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, no,
method actor where you embody a character so much that you'll live as him for a set amount of for example, for Taxi Driver, in preparation for Taxi Driver, he actually
yeah.
got in a cab and went around New York City for 3 months prior to shooting, just to get into the skin of
Yes.
the role that he was going to play.
But see, that's something I want us to maybe discuss towards the end, because I don't want to reveal it yet, because there's an actor I have here who doesn't use that method. So I want to maybe have a small discussion as to what is more impressive, using the method and being good, or not using the method and still being just as good. But I want us to save that discussion towards the end. So yeah, so for me, yeah, I think obviously I had De Niro much higher, and so but as I was thinking about it and thinking about it, just taking everything into context. And again, then because again, the thing with De Niro though is similar to what you said about Pacino. You want to look at Bad Grandpa, Meet the Parents, like he has sort of done some pretty questionable films, and Joker is the first time he's actually looked good in like years and years
In a
and years.
long time, yeah.
So even if I don't want to take that away from him, that is still part of his career, and that is still part of his body of work. And
Do you
there
think
have been,
the more he continues to choose roles that are where he's just doing things on automatic, that the more liable he is to just go down the list?
I mean, like, what was your view? Because I mean, this was a funny film, but this was just you playing you, which was Analyze This.
Yeah, I think it was him playing the Scorsese
Yeah.
mafioso, which he had been playing for years prior to that, and he sort of settled into that persona again. Sometimes an actor like feels so much connection to a certain role that he settles in it, and he becomes and he lets that role take on his persona. I'll give you an example. Johnny Depp is in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas when he was playing Hunter S. Thompson.
Mm.
He became Hunter S. Thompson ever since then. Even the Pirates of the Caribbean role, it's Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah. He just replicated.
Humbling thing. Oh God! Oh no! What?
But for me, I don't think that is a case of him embodying that. I just think that Johnny Depp just isn't as versatile as people think. That is one of the biggest misconceptions about Johnny Depp, is that people think he's really versatile. He isn't really. And what proved that to me was Donnie Brasco. I think once you give him this cause of leading man straight roles, he just cannot do it as well as he does the more weird and wacky roles. Hence why he is more at home in a Tim Burton sandbox as opposed to the more traditional sandbox of films, man. All right. So now we're going to our number 6.
And it's me, right?
Yes, sir.
Gary Oldman.
Okay. Interesting.
So Gary Oldman, number 6, not higher, because I feel he doesn't have anywhere near as much charisma as any of the other actors that I listed. Where he maybe and probably is more competent in just immersing himself into a role, and in the sense that he is much more chameleonic than most other actors. Perhaps the most chameleonic actor of all time, where he can go from playing Sid Vicious to playing Gordon, and then from Gordon to playing Professor Snape, and then Professor Snape, and he's playing something totally different, like the guy from The Fifth Element or Dracula, and these are all wildly different roles. The fact is that he just does not have the charisma. He lacks the charisma, man, that other actors do. And
so I think that his
and
lack of charisma.
if we're picking top 10 greatest actors, we can't just pick the most accomplished in their craft. you have to pick the intangibles. You have to take the intangibles into account, and the intangibles are the magnetism, the sort of like what Russell Crowe has, which is a very a gruff sort of gravitas. Sometimes that's important as well for an actor to have. He lacks all of that. He doesn't seize the audience's attention in the same way that a Jack Nicholson does, or a Cruise, or a De Niro, even, or Hopkins, or Washington.
Mm.
So he's very high up, very versatile, for his versatility more than anything else.
Wait. But then, why would you have Gary Oldman above Denzel then? If you say Denzel has more charisma,
Because Denzel doesn't have as much range and is not as versatile. Denzel can't, he can't play like a punk rocker in one movie and then like a crazy scientist in another. Denzel is a tremendous actor, but he's got a sort of archetype he's latched onto, a very masculine one, and he doesn't veer away from that. He's a star. Denzel Washington is a star first and foremost, with considerable acting chops. Same thing as Cruise. He's a star. He projects a certain kind of image that's very attractive.
Okay, that's fair. No. For me, look, I say, look, I am a massive, huge Gary Oldman fan, and I just think that the way in which he can disappear into roles is unlike anything I've ever seen of any other actor. And yeah, like I said again, like very few actors can go from playing the kinds of roles that he's done, whether it's the accent, it's the nationality, it's the characteristic himself. Nobody can go from it from one place to another. So yeah, look, I mean, look, that's a good shout. Now number 6, man. So it's my number 6 now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Do you mind if I just do something really quick, man? 2 seconds.
Oh, go for it.
Maybe you can riff off number 6, and then you surprise me when I come back and exactly.
Okay, I mean, I'll just Okay, cool. Okay,
man.
All right. All right. So while Machine is out there, let me go and discuss my number 6. So my number 6 is Al Pacino. So now, we previously talked about Al Pacino on this, and you see Al Pacino and De Niro, they are sort of in the same kind of category, in the sense of Al Pacino and De Niro, their career has sort of, I don't want to say it's dipped, but their career later on isn't as good as their career to begin with. But Al Pacino's early work was flipping outstanding. And I don't think that it is fair for me to criticize Al Pacino's early work.
Al Pacino, man, I knew you were like super angry about my choice before because you'd picked.
Oh yeah, no. I was pissed. Yes, no, because basically I was saying that like, hey, more wine. So basically, I was saying that it's unfair to criticize Al Pacino for it's I think it's a bit too harsh for me to completely chastise him for his later work by putting him so low down. He still has to be number 10, but 100% I agree that I can't put him a lot higher because you have to look at his later work. But his early work is so good. It was on such a high level that I don't think that I can put him any lower than this in number 6. And again, the big thing was me putting Pacino ahead of De Niro. And my thing is that I feel that Pacino was more versatile than De Niro, because I don't think De Niro could do a Scarface. I don't think De Niro could do.
He did a Scarface. He did. Have you ever seen that Nick Nolte movie with De Niro? Cape Fear's he's sort of like well, he's not really a Scarface, but he's got a very similar.
Yeah, no, no, but I just think like the way in which Pacino bodies those kinds of roles and embodies them. I just think that he does it slightly better than De Niro. Look, it's very close between both of them. It's very very close between both of them. But I just feel like when they were at their peak, I think Pacino just edges it for how versatile his roles were and how diverse they were as opposed to De Niro. Because I can see more De Niro's similarities in the roles that he did than what Pacino did. I think for Pacino, there was much more of a departure in the stuff that he did during his peak as opposed to what De Niro did. But and again, Pacino last few years it's been iffy, but I blame that on the material that's out there.
Do you think that the younger generations get the love that Pacino and De Niro and these cats?
No,
they
no,
don't, right?
no, they don't. I think because if they did, they would be appreciated enough more. Because I think you see, because it's like the people, especially the younger people, they're all about celebrity and fame, and they're not really about the work and the craft. So they're like, hey man, Ryan Gosling, hey Brad Pitt. So they're all about okay, who's looks cool, who's everything, and that's why you see more English actors being given roles than American actors because American actors want to be famous. They don't want to actually be good at the craft. They want to be famous. So there is more of an obsession for celebrity within the American kind of acting film industry psychology as opposed to anyone else. So yeah, man. So yeah, look no, but I just think for Pacino, like I mean, his early work is solidified, and there is nothing he can do from now until the end of his career that can take away Scarface, Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Serpico, all that stuff, man. All right, man. We are in our top 5 now. This is now where it gets real.
We're in the big time, man. We're getting into the big time.
This is the big one now. So
the big one,
my dear. So what is your number 5, bro?
All right, it's D.D. Lewis.
Okay, I thought he'd be higher.
You thought he'd be higher? But again, it's the same rationale that I used for Gary Oldman, where I feel that he's as an actor, as somebody that is an exponent of his craft, he's perhaps the best out of the list or up there, very close to it, you know. But he just lacks the charisma. I don't think, and then there's another thing beyond the charisma, is his role choice. I don't think he's done all that many memorable roles, you know.
Oh, you see, I thought you were going somewhere, but then I was like, oh, because
I'm going somewhere, man. Like, what are his top roles? What are Daniel Day-Lewis's top roles? Lincoln, which I think Phoenix got robbed for the Oscar that year. I think he did a great job as Lincoln, but it was sort of reminiscent of what he'd done with Gangs of New York and There Will Be Blood again. He did My Left Foot, which is not a memorable. It's not one of the greatest movies of all time, man. I'm sorry. It's a great experiment and in a very interesting, dramatic. Delving into like a very serious disease, and that's something that always but it's a little manipulative as well, you know, emotionally manipulative and
yeah. I mean, it's made to force you to feel a way, which is why, and I hate films like those.
Yeah. And what else? And that movie, man, where he's like where he plays the North American Indian.
Last of the Mohicans, yeah.
That's another forgettable movie, man. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, yes, it's not really, you know.
So like when it comes down with it, you have There Will Be Blood is really like a seminal performance, which is amazing. And he is, if you watch and every single one of these movies that you go and watch of his, his performances are amazing. and he always really delves deeply into the characters and really disappears into them, and each one of them is totally different and radically different from whatever he played previously.
Okay, wait. Okay. See, that's what I say. How radically different was his role in Gangs of New York to the one
No,
in There
no,
Will Be
yeah,
Blood?
but that's an exception. I feel like that's when he got into sort of a niche, you know.
Mm.
That maybe what was happening is that the persona of either Gangs from New York or There Will Be Blood, whichever one came first. He latched onto it so strongly that he took it on as part of his persona. You know what I mean? That sort of turn of the 19th century American gruff sort of dude. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm-mm.
Um, but everything preceding that, every role of his was there was a lot of diversity, you know. And I like how, like, there was this movie where he played an Irish boxer, and he was such a committed method actor that he
Wait,
became,
he actually learns to box.
yeah, by all accounts, he became like a legitimate boxer. He could have, like,
See, that's just
probably better,
madness.
probably better than Mickey Rourke, who got his ass kicked for it.
Yeah, no, Mickey Rock wasn't very good. Mickey Rock just thought he was a really tough guy, but he wasn't very good.
That's
Yeah.
right.
No. For me, I think this thing with look, Day Lewis. Many people will put him as the greatest actor of all time, 100%. And I do feel that the performances that he's done, it is quite frightening just how searing they are. Like, what's it called? I think um Gangs of New York, nobody could talk to him. He was the character all the way through. So on and off set, he was the character all the way through. And like I think he literally, he learned how to really butch and cut up meat and all that other kind of stuff for real.
Mystique as well. That's part of the whole, those little nuggets of information that seep out of the movie sets, and
Mm.
also help to enhance his mystique. And also another thing that I think is unique to him, and that I think is just amazing, is the fact that he quit acting right around the time where he was at the peak of his powers, and after The Last Mohican, and he was a legitimate,
Cobbler.
like A-list contender, and he decided to, like, screw it, I'm going to become like a shoemaker,
Yeah, Cobbler.
and for like 10 or 15 years, and then somebody had to, like, I think it was actually Scorsese.
Yeah.
Said, somebody call that guy from that movie 15 years ago and see what he's up to if he wants to go make a movie. And that's amazing. I mean, that's something that you can't make up.
Oh no, I think and I think that is what adds to the whole mystique about him, is that he doesn't really give those many interviews. He is anti celebrity, anti Hollywood, anti industry, and just sort of just lives in his own world. And we see, how we talked about like Meryl Streep and stuff. I wish all actors operated like Daniel Day-Lewis, where you just do the acting and then you just go ahead and just do whatever you want to do. But we don't because it ruins the performance if we learn too much about you, the person, and who you really are.
Yeah, well, you're trying to recruit people in your political worldview, and virtue signaling about this or that, or it's just, it gets tired really quickly. And I think that I don't think that actors should really have that much of a political role. Like, I think they should just be people that they're acting. It's bizarre to me that actors are the most canonized artists. You know what I mean? They're the people that people most obsess about now in terms of artists. It's between them and musicians, but musicians, I sort of understand. Acting is a very strange thing to me.
Well, no, for me, I think it's because film is a very particular kind of art form, and there's a particular kind of connection you have with somebody who's acting, because it's like it's unlike film, so it's unlike music, or it's unlike sports, because there's probably been we live life. None of us are 99% of us are not amazing singers, 99% of us are
Well,
not amazing
check,
at
check
sports.
yourself. Check yourself.
99% of us are not amazing singers. 99% of us are not amazing athletes. But you can guarantee that we have experienced something similar to some of the roles that these people have played, or we've come close to or aspired to a kind of thing that these guys have done. So there is a closer connection we have to these actors and their performances and the kind of lives that they portray than an athlete or a musician. So I think that is where the connection comes from. But I agree with you. It's stupid. It's like, come on, they, these you pretend to be like George Clooney. I know you want to help the world and everything. You literally pretend to be other people. That is your profession. That's what you're famous for. You pretend to be other people. So, all right, my number five. Again, one of the goats, greats in terms of consistency. One of the most consistent actors out there. I have to bump him to number five. Denzel. I just think that he rarely makes a bad step. His he just always maintains a high level of quality. And I think, obviously, look, every actor has to start shaking because he was in this film called Carbon Copy, which wasn't very good. But once he now hit his mark and everything, it was like boom, boom, boom. Like in the 90s, he was just hitting it boom. I think you want to call Malcolm X, Pelican Brief, The Hurricane, Philadelphia. We're just going through amazing performances. And even now, he rarely picks like a bad role. Like he rarely has that kind of role that isn't really that's like, okay, he never phones in a performance, and even one film that he made recently, like Roman Israel, a few years ago, I think is arguably one of the best performances that he's done in his whole career. So his level of consistency that he's been able to maintain for such a long time, since like the 80s, I just think is absolutely outstanding. So that's why, yeah, my number five is Denzel, and that's why I just say, look, man, because you had him as your number nine, you know, which I find interesting that you had him as a number nine. But see, now everyone in the comments are saying that way. Who the hell do you have as your as your top four? This is another special mention. Jeff Bridges. I am a big fan. Very underrated.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. He's got great hair, though. I hope I have his hair when I get to like 60.
No. Come on, Jeffrey is underrated, bro. Jeffrey's underrated. Oh, he's popped off again, man.
I'm here, dude. I'm still here, and I'm ready to give you my.
Okay.
I know people are super excited about it.
Denzel as five is a robbery. Look, man, it is what.
Dude, it's absolutely not a robbery. He's definitely in the top 10. I think if you don't place him in the top 10, you just don't know what you're talking about. That's my opinion.
No. But I think he thinks I'm putting him too low, though. That's what he's thinking.
Oh, too low. Okay.
All right. So you're number four.
It's a cat named, I think you know, Zac Efron. No, I'm joking.
I wasn't going to put it like there was no way I was going to ask. I'll just end the stream now if you said Zac Efron. No flipping away, man.
Oh man, I'm gonna punk you at least one time per one of these things, just to see what your reaction is. But it's not. It's not. It's Joaquin Phoenix.
Ooh.
And it's not even based on a tremendous body of work, but there's 2 or 3 performances that he did, and one in particular that was so transformative and so impactful to me that I was like, man, this guy is on a whole other level of commitment and just acting prowess than anybody else alive at the moment. I thought he got robbed by Daniel Day-Lewis. That says everything, really. When you think that somebody could get robbed by, well, actually, I've mentioned 2 people who've gotten robbed by Daniel Day-Lewis. Even though I rate Daniel Day-Lewis as highly as I do, I still think that Cruise should have gotten the Oscar for Born on the 4th of July, and absolutely Phoenix should have gotten the Oscar for The Master, which is a movie that's not even all that great, but his performance is so
crazy. It's a crazy performance, bro.
So you're so like drawn to it, and so it's so magnetic and such a believable crazy person, man. And you're that it's like I was like, man, this guy is the greatest living actor. There's no doubt in my mind. And then I went on to watch several of his other roles, which convinced me of the same thing, and it culminated with the Joker, where um, I really dislike that film, and I don't consider it a Joker film at all. But that performance makes the film worth watching. You know, for me, it's discount rate Taxi Driver,
Mm.
uh, and it's a cash grab trying to like exploiting a beloved IP and a beloved property in Batman and the Batman mythos. But Joaquin Phoenix's performance is amazing, and it's like there's so few actors that could live up that you could think that you would even think to be possible for them to be on the same uh, terms as Heath Ledger, because Heath Ledger's performance was so seminal and
Mm.
so transformative and so everything, revolutionary, really. That the normal thing for it to happen, like the normal thing that would happen would be people would just sign off on the no more Joker, nobody plays Joker anymore. But you did have actors play Joker. You had what's his face,
Or the musician dude.
the musician dude from 30 Rock. What's his
30 Seconds to Mars. I can't remember the dude's name.
whatever. Who's like actually he's a decent actor, but he embarrassed himself as Jared Leto. But he embarrassed himself as the Joker. And then,
I thought that was just sort of like bad direct. I think.
and by the way, and sorry, I think it's a spectacular performance by Phoenix, but again, I don't think it's the Joker at all. That's not the Joker that he's playing. It's a deranged person that has some similarities to the Joker.
Well, that's why I like it so much, because for me, I think the concept of a Joker film is stupid. But I would just say, look, what he played, I thought was great. I don't even give a damn whether it's the Joker or not, because a Joker film is stupid. But it was just a crazy performance, and
why is the Joker film stupid? Why do you say that?
Joker literally exists because of Batman. Joker only works because of Batman.
He doesn't work isolated. You could say that, but there's.
Because
I read a novel called "The Killing Joke" by Alan Moore.
Is in relation to Batman. His whole existence is because of Batman. He's just there to exist off of Batman. So when you just sit by himself, I'm like, wait, that's stupid. Like, why would I want to watch a Joker film? Like, because the character itself isn't deep. It's not a deep. Batman is a deep character. Joker's not a deep character.
Man, it's the deepest character. Are you crazy, man?
Oh, no.
Deepest character, because it's an archetypal figure of chaos. It's like it's the ultimate character. It's what every actor aspires to. It's like the mecca for actors. Is the Joker, is to play the Joker, because it represents their archetype, the fool, and yeah, man, the Joker, man, is a tremendous character in a lot of ways. If you approach him properly, and if he's represented properly, that wasn't the case in this movie. I don't think they were trying even to represent the Joker properly. They were just trying to make a movie about, like a pretentious art house flick, clown, that's about crazy people. And
look,
I like the message about like people with crazy people were crazy. We're people too. Crazy people are people too. It's like whatever.
Look, no. I like the film. It just works for me. I think the film just works for me. It was simple, direct, but it's one of those things that it's either hits you or it doesn't. But for me, I just think in its simplicity, it just hit the chord for me. So Amchikri says, De Lewis in There Will Be Blood or De Niro in Raging Bull. Easily, well, not easily, but De Niro in Raging Bull for me. Now, this is where it's funny.
I'll say D.D. Lewis. I'll disagree.
Oh, okay. Now, this is where it gets funny. Guess what my number 4 is?
Can I guess?
Guess.
Betty Midler. Betty Midler.
Oh, wow. You're right. That's my number four. Bets Midler, the goat herself, man. Um,
I
this might
love
be the only time where we actually have the same dude in the same number. My number four is Joaquin
it,
Phoenix.
man. Oh, that's crazy, man. I love it.
It's so for me,
Mine's always thinking like, you know.
100%. No, see, like you pretty much said everything that you said. I think even if he doesn't have the same body of work as a Denzel, a Pacino, a De Niro, or Freeman, like you see, that just shows the mark of an actor. The Master is a stupid film because that dude doesn't know how to make films. I don't care what he says. He's a pretentious dude stuck up his own ass. And he is the epitome of the directors that I hate who just love the sound of their own voice. But what he did in The Master was I don't know of any other actor who's gone to the kind of depths that he's got into in The Master. I was like,
That's exactly it. You're saying that, and I'm actually getting like goosebumps now because
yeah, I mean, because when
really
he just
watching and like even actor friends of mine that were, they're not really like I wouldn't rate them as serious, but you know they're good people. They're but you know they are actors. They're trying to make it. Asking me like, who's the greatest actor alive now for you? And after watching The Master, I was like, man, it has to be Joaquin Phoenix. And they're like, Joaquin Phoenix. And I'm like, dude, go watch The Master immediately and tell me what you think. You know. And I don't think anybody after watching that movie it came back and said they disagreed.
yeah, no. He's different. Like Joaquin Phoenix is of a different breed. You know, is of a different breed. You know, and I just think that you don't have to do 3,000 roles to show your amazingness, but I just think in just the 3-4 roles I've seen him in, I mean, but the funny thing is that the best performance I've seen him in is Gladiator. And that's when I saw Gladiator, I was like, who is this dude? Because everybody was raving about Russell Crowe. I was like, who the heck is this Commodore dude? Because this is an amazing performance. You know,
I didn't get that in the Gladiator. Actually, sort of flew under the radar for me. But I didn't know his body of work. You know, well, I didn't know. Like, I just didn't feel. I felt looking back and seeing what he did with the role. It's perfect because it's like a sort of a broken child that was bestowed immense power.
he played it perfectly.
And that his only desire is to be loved, you know what I mean, and by his father that's neglected him, and the way that he approached it is perfect, absolutely. But you know, I didn't think it didn't seize me that role. I was very drawn to Russell Crowe's uh, hyper masculine gravitas, you know what I mean, like where he
No,
just shows up and
see, do you know what it was? You
like
see,
mess you up like just with a look, which is what you want for Maximus.
but you see, Russell Crowe was the typical leading man movie star performance.
Yeah.
I thought Joaquin Phoenix did the acting technicalities.
Hmm.
Russell Crowe was like, no, this is just a breakout. This is a movie star who has just sort of captured the imagination. But Joaquin Phoenix was like, oh, he's really playing the character kind of thing, you know.
Can I say something? Somebody in the chat said that General Kroll, he said Mission Impossible 3 was trash, which is absolutely one of the dumbest things of all time. The best Mission Impossible by far. But he also said something intelligent, which is Inherent Vice was the weirdest shit ever. But even in that one, he was good. He's amazing in Inherent Vice, man.
You see, that's the thing. Is like, do you know why I haven't watched Inherent Vice? Because it's directed by that dude.
But watch because it's so weird and it's funny and it's one of those movies that you want to watch and watch again. It's an adaptation of this novelist named Thomas Pynchon.
Mm.
Some say is the greatest living American novelist, but he's one of those nigh impossible to penetrate writers. The way that he writes is so packed with references and literary it's very pretentious in a way, but it's also amazing. It's something that you can really tip your hat to for just the immense technique that he has as a writer. Just takes it to a whole different level. But his novels are super strange.
Wait, what's his name? What's the novelist's name?
Thomas Pynchon. He's known for Gravity's Rainbow as his masterwork. But try reading, just like he's sort of like the James Joyce of the 21st century,
Okay.
But his novels, everybody said they were untranslatable to cinema, right? In the same sense that Hunter S. Thompson, everybody said Fear and Loathing's not. You can't make this into a movie, man. That's impossible. But it actually, not only was it made into a movie, in my estimation, it's one of the greatest movies of all time.
Oh, it's a quality film.
But actually, like if you would have read the novel, you would have thought the same. This is untranslatable to, another book that you would think is untranslatable to movie,
Oh.
and it's like one of the greatest movies, is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh,
Do you know
why? Just like crazy people in a crazy
But the book is totally different. The book the book is written through the perspective of the Indian.
Oh, okay.
So the perspective of a totally crazy person. And so yeah, it's very interesting, man. And the way that the way he uses language is completely different from what lucid people would do. And yeah, it's a very interesting book. But I digress, man.
Okay.
Number 4, please.
So this is now your number 3 now.
My number 3. Did you go to number 4? Oh, you did Joaquin Phoenix as well, so that's why I got confused.
Yeah, no, number 4, yeah.
I think I probably put this guy a little too high, but I question the placement. But and I often say that he's not the greatest actor. He's not as good, anywhere near as good of an actor as the ones that preceded him. But when it comes to charisma, it's.
And I know who it is. I know who it is.
Yeah, it's so amazing that I had to put him in there, man. And you know who it is, so I'm not gonna. It's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think he has the acting chops, that's for sure, but he's not anywhere as versatile as these other cats that we mentioned. But he doesn't need to be, because it's one of those guys that, as Anthony Hopkins is in a sense, and Denzel and Cruz, but Nicholson is the star, man, the superstar. And it's funny because you watch his early work, and he was the antithesis of that. He was sort of like somebody that that you would sort of not even pay much attention to in movies. But there was something when he aged.
But he has presence, though.
Oh no, he has some presence.
Jack Nicholson is the dude where, like, if you enter the room, he's the guy where, like, who is that dude?
Dude, not in the early ones, not in the very earliest ones. When he was like in his 20s and stuff, and the thing about Nicholson that's interesting is that he worked for years and years and years before he became a star, and he broke out with that Easy Rider movie. And before that, he'd been doing bit parts, and he was ready to call it quits, basically, and become a screenwriter, because that's what he did also on the side. And he was like, all right, I'm not going to make it as an actor. I'll just devote myself to screenwriting. And then boom, Easy Rider came along, and he just blew up. But before then, if you watch him in his very earliest roles, there's something that's too meek about him, he doesn't have that presence, that presence.
There is nobody on this list that has more of the X factor than Jack Nicholson. No, like that's intangible. No one else.
But then something happened when he hit his 40s, I think, where all of a sudden he started losing his hair, and then there's something about his face changed, and he became more and more charismatic and then he just he hit the mother load, a sort of mother load that nobody has hit since, I don't think. But just go watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Is for me is his seminal performance, and you can't take your eyes off him. And you can't take your eyes off him in a movie that's an ensemble movie with he's surrounded by spectacular actors, every single one of them. And he just outshines them all. He's like, he chews up the scenery without trying to. That's the the genius of Jack Nicholson. He has an effortless uh,
Charisma.
charisma, scene chewing quality without it. Usually when you're chewing up scenery, it detracts from the movie. It's like you're calling too much attention to
Mm,
yourself.
mm, mm.
But he does it without trying to, and that's the thing that every star aspires to have.
Because I think like I say, it's one of the few actors who can overact the right way. I think that's an interesting way of putting it. Like he does overact, but it just sort of works. Um, and yeah, I think this guy might be disappointed, man. Says if Al Pacino isn't number one, you should be smacked. Well, I suppose that we should just smack ourselves, man, because yeah, Al Pacino in number one. We've already said him. So, Jack Nicholson is. See, do you know what I was saying? His performance as a Joker, I think, is still underrated. Because people always say, "Oh no, Heath Ledger is the best Joker and everything." But he destroyed Jack Nicholson and everything. But you have to understand what Jack Nicholson did. Remember, he didn't have the kind of material that Heath Ledger did. Jack Nicholson, remember, people seem to forget, before Joker, this was Chinatown Jack Nicholson. This was Shining Jack Nicholson. He was a serious actor. And
You mentioned Shining as well, which is a movie I don't like, but
performance amazing. No, like stupid film.
I watch every once in a while just because of Jack Nicholson.
Hey, no. So
that scene at the bar, where he's speaking to effectively no one, it's a delusion inside his mind, but speaking to a wraith, and he struggles with his demons. His demon is represented by the booze, right? And he's trying his best not to fall back into the wagon. But then he starts boozing up again. And that scene, man, it's just focused on him constantly. It's the camera on the actor, on his face. And it doesn't move from that for like 5 minutes. You know how hard it is as an actor to do one take, and it's just...
No. That's why, like, there are very few actors who can hold an entire screen by themselves like that, because again, you have to have presence. Obviously, I don't think anything, but it can't be taught. Presence and aura can't be taught.
No,
You're either born with it or you don't have it.
Absolutely.
And Jack Nicholson just had that. No, but basically what I want to say about the Joker is that what he did in that performance was flipping amazing, because he pretty much, nobody had ever seen anything like that. So even everyone else that did, like whether it was a penguin, was this or that, he created the foundation of this larger than life villain of the comic book film that had never existed before. So,
yeah, but with the Joker, I don't give him as much credit, because I still think it's Jack Nicholson having fun. It's an enhanced Jack Nicholson in clown makeup.
But you see, you're saying that in hindsight. But remember, before that, he'd never done anything close to that.
It's true.
So it's like him really, because remember, he said that, no, I was trying to scare kids. I wasn't trying to, I was trying to, this was a kid's film, so I was trying to be a villain to try and terrify kids. And he terrified a younger me, where I feel, because I hate clowns. Like clowns just me and clowns just don't go. So
get along.
So okay, The Shining. Okay, look, I don't want to veer too off. It's just that Kubrick. I only like one Kubrick film.
Me too.
Wait, I only like 1.5 Kubrick films: Doctor Strangelove and the first half of Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, man, thank you for saying that shit, man. We have are we related or what, man?
Yeah, we could do that.
The thing with Kubrick, I think he's one of the most overrated directors of all time. I don't think he's a bad director. I just think he's intensely overrated, because people often tout him as the very best, and I don't think he's that. And I think he's at fault for his movies are only really, really good in sections. For instance, like 2001: A Space Odyssey, for me, has the greatest intro of all time erupted.
Oh yeah, it's the greatest transition ever done on film.
first 15 minutes period of that film, I remember being transfixed as a kid, looking at the screen like, this is the greatest movie of all time. What is this, man? Monkeys, and it's us in the beginning. It's
Mm.
and then there's like an obsidian thing that like an obelisk that shows up, and it's like a monolith. And what does it mean? And all of a sudden they find tool making, throws the bone up and transitions to the ship. But then the actual movie happens after that. You know,
Yeah, which is, and also again, I don't want to put a
it,
spoiler, but the ending literally makes no sense.
yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. But that's the part. Actually, if we're going to talk about it, the ending makes no sense. You're right, but it's the most interesting part of it's the bookends. You know, it's the beginning, and then the ending, which is a little too kooky for my taste. But at least it's interesting. The rest, everything in between those two sections, is this hyper slow, hyper drawn out, just very frigid, cold experience that I'm not into. Same thing with The Shining. Everything is very frigidly paced. And with Full Metal Jacket, as soon as that guy shoots himself, it devolves into a very generic Vietnam movie that's very forgettable. In fact, I bet most Full Metal Jacket fans can't really relate much of what happens in the actual Vietnam scenes.
Oh yeah. No, it's yeah, but like, look, it's
That should have been a short movie about that guy, being 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 like psychologically tortured and just and being
no,
pulled.
it could, no, basically it could have been probably one of the best war films ever made, but the first half is one film, the second half is a completely different film, man. All right, let me hit you with my number three. So I went with Daniel Day-Lewis as three. You know, even if he may not have done as many roles or a multitude of roles and so forth, and he doesn't have the kind of charisma as others, I just think that the roles that he has done, the quality and the technical brilliance of some of the roles he's done are just they're simply out of this world. Gangs of New York, there will be blood. You could even throw in My Left Foot. Okay, My Left Foot is not a great film. It's an average film. That's still an amazing, incredible commitment to what that character was. I mean, In the Name of the Father was just sort of a throwaway. He was in Gandhi.
Really?
Yeah, like very small role, very small role. He was in Gandhi, really small role. As like this racist dude towards Gandhi. So yeah, no. I mean, like when you just look at the stuff that it's the quality of the performance and how well he does the roles. I just think it's just outstanding, from like the accents, the look, the feeling, and everything. Like Lincoln as well. Not really one of Spielberg's best films. Really, really boring film. But again, in terms of what he did, his job, quality.
You know what? I didn't think Lincoln was all that boring. Actually, I think it takes the language is very particular, and it's tough to penetrate. But then, and there's a learning curve, and then once you're into it, it actually turns out to be a pretty decent film. I just think that his performance was too. I don't know. It was too Hollywood, you know.
But it goes from that goes from the director
Approach as well, you know.
Yeah, no, but because see, the issue I had with Lincoln was it was too Hollywood and it was too cheesy. But that comes from, I think Spielberg wanted to make he wanted it a homage to, like, quote unquote the most beloved American presidents of all time.
Sure.
So yeah, so yeah,
also Spielberg is very Hollywood. That's like the classic Hollywood director is Spielberg. Doesn't mean he's not an amazing director, but even the music that he employs and everything, and the lighting and all that, it's very, very old school Hollywood. Lincoln is, but I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. One thing for you to like. It's one thing for you to enjoy a movie. It's another thing for you to enjoy a performance. I enjoyed his performance. I thought he did a stellar job, but I think Joaquin Phoenix got robbed for the master.
See, now, if we're comparing the two, you see, I forgot Joaquin Phoenix was in The Master.
It was the same.
Yeah, if we're comparing the two, you've got to give it to Joaquin Phoenix. I think that was both are amazing, but what Joaquin Phoenix did was, but it was obvious they gave it to him because look, it's Abraham Lincoln, man. Come on, And the Master was it's quite obscure. It didn't have the Spielberg backing behind it as well, so it was obvious that they'd go with a
It's
Day
always
Lewis.
it's always the Oscars, man. It's always political.
Yeah, no, look, screw that.
Yeah.
Number two, bro.
Oh, number two, I can't believe I have to check, but let's see what I put in here. Oh, De Niro.
Okay.
De Niro, because he's my Pacino to you, basically. I think you like Pacino slightly more than De Niro, and I think that to people who grew up in
Wait. Do you know the funny thing though? What the funny thing is? I actually prefer De Niro's acting style to Pacino because for me, again, like when I did acting, I always hated theater. I still do. And I just liked De Niro because for me, De Niro just felt more real. So I could connect more with De Niro's performances than Pacino. But see, this is me being objective. Even I'm being objective, I just think Pacino is more diverse. But if it's just me personally,
how do you
De
think
Niro's acting is more connects more with me than
first
Pacino.
when you have him playing roles like Cape Fear, King of Comedy, you have him play roles like Taxi Driver, you have him play roles like Mean Streets. I'm trying to think of like De Niro's most transformative roles. Raging Bull, man. Raging Bull it's a totally different character. Raging Bull is, even though they're both rough and tumble. Then, for instance, the King, and then the one with that I just mentioned, man, with Nick Nolte, Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Both two sort of like same phenotypes, but totally different approaches to those characters. To each character, and totally different feels, and also there's here's the thing: he has acting chops up the wazoo. It's tough to like for the younger people to realize this because he's been phoning it in for so long, and he's more concerned with his Nobu restaurants than he is with actually acting. But he was just a tremendous force, man, and an incredibly magnetic personality. Very mysterious. I think the thing that most defines De Niro is magnetism, is how enigmatic he is. You know what I mean? There's something mysterious about him. Probably because he's a quiet guy as well, and he's done some quiet performances. He doesn't he likes to tone it down, as you mentioned, in the same vein as Morgan Freeman, but even more so, I feel. He's got this thing. He's able to communicate a roiling, like whirlpool of emotions inside, just by standing still and just by looking at the camera in a certain way. Not at the camera. You shouldn't look at the camera, but like at somebody else, one of his co-stars.
Oh no. For me, I think the performance that affected me the most personally was Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
I think like again, just where he went mentally, psychologically was huge. But you know what my sister says to me? My sister says to me that what he did in Deer Hunter is amazing. I said, wait, why? She said that Deer Hunter is just a regular man. It's just a regular man. And he was able to give so much depth to just a regular person that makes that performance very underrated and so amazing. Because obviously, everyone raves obviously about what Christopher Walken did and so forth. But I think De Niro, even in Deer Hunter, just as a regular dude dealing with obviously PTSD and everything, was flipping incredible. So
you know what it is? There's certain actors also that live. There's certain performances that are so transformative and so influential and so impactful that they sort of live off of that. As Taxi Driver is one, actually. That scene, where like he shoots the guy and he goes like this, and he's like,
yeah.
blood and stuff. That's so seared into our collective unconscious.
But actually, did you know? No, Main Streets is really
Mean
Was it,
Streets is an amazing film as well in its own
that
way.
was like his first few films,
Yeah, I like Taxi Driver more, but Mean Streets is amazing as well. But like what we were speaking about, Joaquin Phoenix with The Master, right?
mm,
Is De Niro in Taxi Driver. It's just roles that are so every self-respecting movie fan
mm.
should it's required watching, man.
No, you have to. You have to.
I,
You have to.
I know people that haven't watched Taxi Driver, and I'm like, what are you doing with your life, man? Seriously, go watch it. As soon as somebody tells me that, I stop everything and immediately force them to watch it. You know?
And see, for me, and I think that's probably everything into account. Probably Scorsese's best film. Like his best film in terms of technicalities is Raging Bull, but within the whole package, I just thought Taxi Driver as a whole package, filmmaking wise, I just think was probably like his strongest movement. So my number two is your number one. So you might as well just lump them all in one. So my number two is Brando.
It's true. You want to speak on it, or
No. Let's like at the same time. So basically, your number one is Brando. So
yeah, it's
you
funny
can kick it off.
you put him that highly. I didn't think you would have put him that highly. Actually, I thought you thought that Brando was overrated. Man, I don't know where I got that impression from, but I just dreamed it up, I guess. But yeah, for some reason I thought that. But I'm glad that you don't. So your number two is my number one. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it is my number one, and I think it's because if you look at the history of acting as well, it's very important to look at it and how revolutionary Brando was and what he brought to the game. And what he did basically is, back in a time where theatrical performances in the style of your James Cagney's of the world, where it's like, hey, listen here, see?
Mm.
I'll suck you one, and you're going to go straight to the moon, like very theatrical type of performances. He brought a naturalism that had never been seen before, either in.
So also you must know where this is from, obviously.
Yes, of course. The Pierre movie,
The Waterfront.
the boxing. Yeah, I could have been a contender, which is but that's well. There's that, and also the fact that he brought that, so it was completely a game changer. He did stuff like like in a scene where he would pick up food and eat it when nobody expected it. All these little naturalisms, that people do in everyday life, but you're not used to seeing on screen, because back in the day, the rationale was if it doesn't serve a purpose to the storytelling, it shouldn't be in there. It's distracting from the storytelling. You know what I mean? But he did it in a way that was natural and didn't take away from the momentum of the scene, and people realized, holy shit, this is a whole game changer. This is the way people should be doing things. And so he's a completely revolutionary character from that standpoint. And then there's the charisma. There's the fact that he was viciously handsome back in the day. He then became Jabba the Hutt. But before that, he was just like, you couldn't take your eyes off him, as even though he's a dude and I'm straight. And he influenced everybody. He's incredibly influential. All these actors that you see, from Johnny Depp to anybody that's trying to be a star, is not only indebted to Brando, they copy him, shamelessly, constantly. Even little things like they go watch his interviews and everything, and Brando said he didn't like to watch his own performances, and he never watched his own performances. I don't know if that was true or not, because Brando was the original article, but every other actor says that because Brando said it, and it's cool to say it. I promise you, every single one of them watched his own performances over and over again. I know actors they watch themselves. And but they say it, they say it because Brando said it, and that's, I guess, what
No,
people.
no, I think you hit the nail on the head, because then people were like, "Oh no, no, Brando, this is like the cool answer to choose." But,
Mhm.
but history is very important. Like as you said, before Brando, the archetype was Laurence Olivier. So Laurence Olivier was how people thought that you had to act. That's kind of very basic theatrical mannerism and very a basic palette of emotions.
Yeah.
But Brando was like, no,
It's a style, and it's like, and the very best actors that were within that mold are just as good as some of the ones that aren't. You just mentioned Laurence Olivier was a tremendous actor,
oh, he was.
but even James Cagney, which I was sort of mocking, he's a fantastic actor, but he's just of a completely different mold that's no longer employed as much. I feel like Nicolas Cage does it a little bit. Nicolas Cage likes to do like he calls it kabuki theater style acting, but
That dude is weird, man.
that dude is, the thing about Cage is I waver between thinking he's the worst actor of all time and a genius, but yeah, I
No,
digress.
no, but I mean, but yeah, like so you have to decide that when Brando came in, he changed the game of acting. So Pacino, De Niro, De Lewis, all these guys followed what Brando did. So you saying this, oh no, how could you put Brando ahead of Pacino, De Niro? There, if there's no Brando, there's no Pacino or De Niro. They literally got their inspiration and their approach from what Brando did, And again, I think someone mentioned it in the comments. Obviously, we already know about the Godfather and so forth. What he did in Apocalypse Now is frightening, because it's like, what I say is like, there's a point when it doesn't feel like if a guy is acting anymore. It's
He
like,
was acting, but he wasn't. But that's the thing. He wasn't acting though. He was ad libbing completely.
yeah, no, but it's like you're so in the scene and in the moment. It's like you forget that somebody is performing for the camera. They're just it, you know. So that's concept of just being it and being real, being naturalistic, really being there and actually bringing in real emotions onto the screen. Boom, was a complete game changer, So Brando gave birth to the new generation and the kind of like the new like approach to acting and stuff. So his influence is huge. It's a pretty huge, man. Um, so let me hit you with my number one, and I think you probably know by process of elimination.
Yeah, of course, dude. Of course, I know. It's Ben Affleck.
If we're doing a top 10 worst list, Ben Affleck is top two or top three.
He cheers very heavily, I think. Yeah, dude. I was just, it's funny that I was saying when we were talking about Jack Nicholson and how there's that scene in Shining where it's just the camera focused on him, and you said, not every actor, very few actors can sort of seize that by, like actually like command such a presence that they can pull that off. And I was thinking of the ones that couldn't, and I imagine just like 5 seconds of a close up on Ben Affleck, man. Yeah,
Look, let me take a drink.
yeah, exactly.
That'll be let me see. But let me see. An entire film on Ben Affleck would be a horror movie.
Hmm.
I'd rather watch The Exorcist in a abandoned cathedral at 1 a.m. on a remote Eastern European island in Bulgaria than have to sit through a Ben Affleck movie in broad daylight.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So that's like
That's
he
hilarious.
is, is because it's funny because basically I think him and this girl Anna de Armas, who was in Blade Runner, I think
Yeah,
they're both going out and they're both as crap as each other.
but she's super hot, though. I
Oh,
mean,
no, like
and
I don't
Ben
want to say
Affleck doesn't even have that going for him. Like he's.
no, but look, I don't want to say it, but it is what it is. She gets the roles based on her looks. I mean, no, she's very attractive, but
Yeah,
she's crap.
right.
But yeah, Now, Gary Oldman. See, my thing here is that I get what you said about charisma. 100%. I get what you said about charisma. But I boil down to what is the point of acting? What is the very purpose of acting? And many people have different views. So I think some people say, no, acting is about how much can you do in that one great performance, which is where you bring in a Brando, you bring in a Lewis, you bring in a Joaquin Phoenix. But in my view, acting greatness is how well can you embody a character and how many of these characters as diverse of these characters can you embody to a large extent. When you go from what he did in JFK, Leon the Professional, Air Force One, Dracula, Batman Begins,
Romance.
True Romance, it's like it's not the same dude. Basically, funny story. Do you know what got me into acting? I watched JFK, Air Force One, and Leon, like sort of like pretty similar, and I thought it was different guys. When I found out it was the same dude, I was like, what? I was like, that's insane. Like how a guy can be so different in those roles. So, see, people use the word that, oh, he's a chameleon. But my thing is that being a true chameleon is acting greatness. That is, for me, the zenith of acting. Where
Why do you discard? Why do you discard Jimmy Fox, which you called a mere imitator?
because for me, from me judging it my eye test, I'm still not sure whether Jimmy Fox is mimicking or performing. For me, Gary Oldman, in my view, he is performing. So he's getting the manners and everything, but he's still performing because you can still see a guy who has gotten his experience of theater,
Mm.
of theater, but he's able to technically break down, hone in, zero in, and radio in. So, what is this character? And for me, it's like he may not have the because in that charisma is what you're born with. And you should see, machine, you should actually be on my side. Do you know why?
Mm.
This is a Messi Cristiano thingy. Let me explain. Messi is God-given talent. So in a sense, Messi is like the charisma. He doesn't even have to train. Don't be a man like that. He doesn't even have to train. He just has it. Charisma. You can't train someone in charisma. You can't.
But I do agree with you. The charisma that Messi has is basically the blank slate, and the blank slate, in the sense that he never speaks to the media. He's somebody you can project onto.
Oh no, 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 oh, no,
Whereas
but
is a personality, is a
no,
personality.
no, but again, I don't want to really go, but just in the case, this is like, okay, charisma is what you're born with. It's just God-given ability, a God-given talent. But what Gary Oldman has is where something he now has to
Do you
work
think
hard at and
you think
actually study.
charisma is not? I think everything's craftable. Then
No, charisma isn't.
even charisma is.
No, no. It's like someone is charismatic. How do you work hard? Okay, look, let's ask the live chat. Can you work hard at your charisma, or is it just a God-given ability? Because for me, it's like
Can I
when
tell you what I think charisma is, though, man? Between you
okay,
and I, but
okay,
personal charisma, not charisma of the kind that you see on screen, where I think that's more magnetism than anything else. But charisma, where the people are very seized by a personality type, is is uh, is where somebody uh, affects caring for the other person, like the other person is really important to them, you know, but really, truly, deeply, they don't give a shit about that person. And that kind of dichotomy really gets people fascinated by the person in question. I'm saying this because the most charismatic person I ever met was Mourinho. and he had me, licking his palm after 2 seconds. But after I had some time to think it over, I knew that it was impossible that the things that he was telling me were genuine. You know what I mean? I knew that it was an affectation. I knew that he couldn't give us. I could disappear for the rest of eternity the next day, and he wouldn't give a shit. But at the moment I was with him, he made me feel like the most important person in the universe, and that's the power, and that's charisma. That's what politicians have. The great politicians have in spades. That's what your Tom Cruises of the world have in spades. Everybody says this about Tom Cruise, for instance. Masseuses and stuff that were with him like for 2 seconds. Well, you remembered my cousin's name, and we had a conversation. Do you think he's like sitting around thinking about the masseuse, like 3 weeks after, or like even like 24 hours after? Of course not. It's a facade. It's the ability to make people think that you care about them without when really, and they pick up on the dichotomy and the sort of contradiction.
No,
And something like that contradiction is very appealing to people.
no, but my argument is that I still feel within Mourinho, he was born that way. Yeah, he may refine it here and there, but at the very core, that's who he always was.
Because he's an incredibly emotive person. He can see where to seize onto. He can see he understands people's emotions, and he knows how to manipulate them. But one of the things that I always thought was extremely ridiculous about Mourinho was the media, how they try to
wait. Let's not, because if you go into the whole Mourinho thing, look, we'll be here. Look, Mourinho is my guy, man. So I don't want to go too much into the whole Mourinho thing, but I think that it's for Gary Oldman. What he's achieved in acting, in my opinion, nobody else has. So even if there may not be that magnetic performance that you've seen from a Brando or a De Niro or a Pacino or so forth, the sheer number of roles he's done, the characters he's played, and this is the key one, the departure and the diversity of the characters he's played puts him as the solitary member on the top of the hill.
Okay. Sorry. Just tell me one character, one performance that stands out above every other performance, and one that people will be speaking about for the end of time. And the way that people speak about Travis Bickle, De Niro's Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. Tell me, give me a Gary Oldman performance.
No, but it's exactly what I just said.
You know what I mean? But there's
no. Like, you're right. It's like, you see, for me, Leon the Professional, for me, is an incredible performance. For me, what he did in JFK for the small amount of time is amazing. But because he doesn't have the charisma or the magnetism that De Niro and Thingy has, it won't etch itself in history the same as those other ones. But from my view, if we're talking about acting objectively acting, Gary Oldman does the job better than any actor has in the history of acting. He simply has. Because no other actor has done the amount of characters and the diversity and range of actors he's done to his level and to his quality. No one has. So it's like, I don't think that De Niro or Pacino could do what he did in Leon the Professional as well as he did, or could do what he did in JFK as well as he did. Because in JFK, that was how long was that? That was like 10 minutes of a 3-hour film. But for those 10 minutes, I thought that was Lee Harvey Oswald. I thought that was genuinely Lee Harvey Oswald. So that's the toss-up, because what is the memorable one that people will be talking about for ages? I can't give you one that is on the same level as a Travis Bickle, as a Michael Corleone, or as a Don Corleone. But the flip is that those guys do not have the range and the range of quality that your boy Gary Oldman has. So,
yeah, We disagree, but I could totally get your points as well. You know, I can totally understand where you're coming from. You mentioned De Niro, and I know that you rate De Niro quite highly. I meant to say this when you mentioned him first, but in The Irishman, the last movie that he featured in prominently, uh, it was sort of tragic to see him get so thoroughly outacted by that British dude Stephen Graham. You know what I'm speaking about?
Yeah, Stephen Graham. I know. Yeah. Really, really good actor.
Yeah, he acted circles around Pacino, man.
You see,
In that table scene where like he loses his cool and you remember?
no, 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 no. Like that was like one of the best scenes where like he was pissed off that he was late, and then
Yeah,
they hate people that
exactly.
come and they were wearing that very nice cream suit. But see, the thing with Pacino is again, it's like it's maybe the material he's choosing or the material that he's given because Pacino can still do like that's the smaller kind of role and the kind of smaller kind of acting, but for some reason we get the whole um, larger than life, bigger than this whole um, Pacino thing. So
Okay,
um,
so can I just ask you a question before we wrap up?
yeah, go for it.
Why do you think we don't see any people like these actors that we've spoken about emerge now, or do you see any people?
Great question. It's simple. It's society and the arts are like this. They affect one another. The 60s and the 70s was a different kind of world. And because it was a different kind of world, it's bred a different kind of art. It's like we say we will never see another Michael Jackson again because Michael Jackson was born through racism, the civil rights, and so forth. So there's a particular cocktail and concoction that produced a Michael Jackson. There's a particular concoction.
Or a Pele,
Hmm?
or a Pele. You were speaking of Michael Jackson, Pele, which I'm surprised you don't rate as the goat.
Oh no, oh, no, oh, no, no, no. I give Pele his due um, um, based on his greatness and what he was able to achieve. It's just that
And
Pele
also
is much more
socially,
of an aesthetic.
and also socially.
Oh, no, no,
So
no, it's true. But see, my thing is that why don't you have access like this now? Is that social media? It's a lot easier. You're praised a lot more quicker. The material is different. So because the material is different, the approach is different. Celebrity is a lot bigger, a lot more than it was back then.
way huger. It's really strange. They're like industries now.
No, 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 no. Yeah, like being a celebrity, like
And now you're like a big time actor, and you're not just an actor. You're potentially a billionaire from putting your name in a perfume or something.
no, no. Look, when you have models who are in serious films, you have an issue. When you have models competing with other classically trained Juilliard actors and actresses, we have issues
Hmm.
because people see the movie industry now is about selling, but selling based off name. Back then, it was selling based off quality. In the 90s, we went to watch those films because, oh, this is a really good film with really good reviews now. Right now is okay. Where's my Batman? Where's my Spider Man? Where's my Ryan Gosling film? Where's my Brad Pitt film?
Right.
So it's also the quality isn't what is bringing people in. It's the celebrity and the name and the fame. you know. So
Well, but you get to be a celebrity by picking certain roles and being in certain movies that are successful and if you're in a string of successful movies, you become a star. There are people that are in a string of failures and are still popping their head up after years of. I'm thinking of Colin Farrell. I don't understand why he keeps getting hired for anything.
oh, and people keep
That's,
convincing me that he's this great actor.
he must have the greatest agent in Hollywood, man, by far. Like that.
Mm. Do you know
Uh,
who has the greatest agents in Hollywood? Taylor Kitsch.
I don't know. I don't know who she is.
John Carter of Mars.
Oh man, I've never watched any shit of his.
Yeah.
Never.
Okay, wait, let's take this last question. We'll be out of here. Tell Machine how great Gandolfini was as Tony. You must have seen Sopranos. Have you seen Sopranos?
I've seen Soprano. I saw like 3 episodes of it. I thought it was very ponderous and very slow, and it didn't grab me. But I'd like to give it another shot because everybody tells me how amazing it is. The only thing that keeps me from doing so, and I'm sort of not totally on board with it, is the fact that the showrunner of The Sopranos did Mad Men.
Yeah, David Chase.
It was a successive show, and I thought that was trash. It was
Wow.
not good at all.
Also, I mean, I think you're getting a bit of hate here.
From Hollywood, God, yeah, I mean, total clown, by the way.
This clown is judging Al Pacino's one movie.
One movie, no, I'm not, bro. That's why he's in my top 10, you idiot. Like, yeah, keep watching HH's good content, but you're an idiot.
No, I just lost my head. So with the advent of modern technology, the ground is so saturated that people back in the days were able to really be idols. People nowadays seem more accessible. I think, yeah, the accessibility is because now there's no real mystique. Everyone has an Instagram.
It's true. It's true. They're closer to you, but at the same time, they're further because they're much wealthier than they were prior, and they live in more of a la la land than they used to even before. You know.
Well, and I think also like it goes to the point. I think because what I always say is that England make good supporting actors, America make the best leading actors. I don't want an English dude to be the star of my film, but I want him in my film. It's like Die Hard. An English guy couldn't be John McClane, but I need an English guy as the villain, you know. So it's like, but the issue is that the young American actor wants to be a star too quick. The young American actor isn't going to do the groundwork that the young English actor or the young Australian actor is going to do. So
no, it's not, I think that Omunu you call dragback, which is the weirdest tag of all time.
no, that's like no. He's Omuyoko. He's Ugandan.
Okay, Omunyuko. I think he's got a sort of a point, but it's not just about that. It's about because you can't. It's not accessibility that detracts from your on-screen presence. I just don't see anybody that has on-screen presence that's sort of that goes to the another level in the same way that your Nicholsons of the world do. You know what I mean? Or even like somebody like Bruce Willis that has a certain charisma.
But you see, this goes to my previous points, which is interesting. Then maybe we'll just leave it here. But this is the last point: is that isn't this thing that you're looking for? Isn't this something that you're born with? And if you're born with it, we just need to wait for the person to come across it. But if you maintain that this guy like a Bruce Willis or a Jack Nicholson, they have this skill that maybe was created through society, then we're screwed. Because Bruce Willis and Jack Nicholson came at a totally different time that was a more realer time that created more realer actors. These are fake times filled with fake people. And society breeds and creates art. They both work in tandem.
You think we're long overdue for a nice little war to get people back into real times, or what?
I don't want a war.
No,
I think that's the kind of because people live like people are living in like it's this.
It's like a sheltered existence of everybody's self-important. Everybody's like quick to be indignant about nothing.
Cancel culture. Cancel
culture. Everybody, dude. It's like it's the fall of Rome, man. It's the fall. As far as like the Western canon, is concerned.
No. Basically, when you look at the cutting edge films made in the 90s and the 70s that pushed stuff artistically, could those films be made now where don't offend, don't offend. Oh no, this LGBTQ. Oh, more blacks, more Chinese. Oh, he's too white, whitewashing. It's like, you know, because you see, what I've okay, last point. What I've always said is this: is that I don't want a handout. Just let's give people an opportunity to do their stuff. I don't care about black people winning an Oscar and all that kind of stuff. All you care about is let me just see an Asian voice, an African voice,
I
a
will
thing
question
voice.
your top 10 entry, by the way. I question that. I'm going to push back hard on that. I don't know. I actually don't know where it works, so I probably should be doing that.
Mm.
Me, if you're going to pick a black actress that's at the top of her game, for me, Lupita is the best one at the moment. And maybe you should have. What do you think of her? You don't like her?
Oh no. I think she's very good, but
She's part of
she
the best thing about 12 Years a Slave to me.
oh, no, but she's too dark skinned. And because she's too dark skinned, they see Hollywood likes to pick the black actress. It began with Halle Berry. Now it's Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
But Halle Berry is classically beautiful. Halle Berry is.
No, but
Lupita is beautiful, but in a way that's sort of like skewed. You know what I mean? It's not.
no. But see, Halle Berry was, this is your black actress. Take, this is it. No more. This is your leading black actress, and that's it. Obviously, Angela Bassett was there.
Oh man, I just thought I was Angela Bassett in my mind. She should have played Storm, by the way. She would have been a better Storm than Halle Berry, I think.
That's like the most obvious. It was the most obvious casting. But no, because Brand Singer is a flipping moron. Okay, so actually, look, it's been so long here, but like, look, so guys, look, actually, what other top 10 do you think that we should do?
Overrated actors for sure, with starring his favorite cat, Ben Affleck. I think he should present. Actually, we should get him to present the thing. Do you think we can get him?
No. Easily, I'll just call him. Look, I know people who know people who know people, man. But you know, because I know that you make a comic, I want to do top 10 graphic novels.
Oh, dude, man, for sure. But I'll only do that if you read every single one of my entries. How's that?
Well, I mean, I need to have the time.
Huh? I'll read every single one of yours if I haven't read them already, which I doubt because I'm big into the thing. But you read every one of my entries, or try to.
Oh no, it's easily, man. It's like,
your thoughts on Batman are totally out of control, man. Not out of control, but they're wildly divorced from what the character really is. But I'm glad that you came to terms with that because you realized, I saw in a tweet, I think.
No, but also as well, you see,
really a Batman fan.
This is the key thing. Okay, we will really end with this now. Okay, we're going to really end with this. A great graphic novel isn't just about the story; it's the art and the story. Watchmen isn't the greatest graphic novel.
It is not.
The story. The art is high. The art is high.
I think it's overrated, to be honest. Like just the book in general, but yeah, but it's
I mean, it's a crazy story.
Writer, but I think Watchmen is a tremendously overrated graphic novel.
I mean, it's...
by the way, as is The Dark Knight, which is probably Frank Miller's least accomplished work for me. Way better is Batman Year One, or is Daredevil run, Daredevil Born Again. That craps all over The Dark Knight. And as far as Alan Moore is concerned, my favorite Alan Moore work is Top 10, and the Batman thing that he did, the one shot, that's fantastic.
Killing Joke.
He himself doesn't like it for some reason, but The Killing Joke is just a fantastic book, I've thought. Did you read that?
Yeah,
it's great.
Come on. Have you read 100 Bullets?
Brian Azzarello, fantastic graphic novel as well.
Okay. If you've read 100 Bullets, then yeah, maybe you've probably read most of my graphic novels then, because like 100 Bullets is like a it's like a because that's a quality series, bro. That is quality, man. You know.
You know that there's the entire industry of comic books has been ravaged by this politically correct, I would argue, neo-Marxist encroachment that's been happening in the cultural pillars of our society, and the comic book industry has not been able to escape that. And not only that, it's been a hostile takeover. Now all of a sudden, Spider-Man, dude, I have nothing against like Miles Morales or any of these new characters.
Oh, machine. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
No, but listen to me.
Morales is white guilt.
What's that?
Miles Morales is white guilt.
Yeah, that's fine, but I don't think he's a bad character. You know what I mean? But when you take, it's one thing to do it with one character. Of all of them, I like Miles Morales the most because I think he was well executed. Even though I hate Bendis, who's the creator of him, but there was a time where the MCU was floating around, right? And Marvel movies became super mainstream. And you would think that the comic books would go up in sales, right? But instead of going up in sales, they tanked. And why do they tank? Because the people were watching the movies, and they were like, "Oh, I really like this Thor character. Can I go buy a comic of his?" And they went into the comic book stores, and the books that they saw was Thor as a woman, um, Hulk as an Asian, not Banner. He's now Amadeus Cho. Uh, they saw Spider-Man instead of Peter Parker. It's Miles Morales. They saw Iron Man is no longer Tony Stark. He's this chick, this black chick. I think I forget her name, Riri Williams. And so on and so on and so on and so on. And this is what's been happening in the culture, man. There's nothing wrong with diversity. In fact, I applaud diversity, but create your own roadshow, man. Don't trample over what's been done before. You know what I mean?
No, it's like no machine. See, this is the thing that just gets me. This is the thing that just pisses me off because let's see. Look, my friend is Nigerian black guy. He loves Thor and everything. He's like, why is Thor a woman? Why? Look, machine. My thing is this. I love Spawn. Why do I love Spawn? When you see a guy that looks like you of course the art is incredible. Greg Capullo, Todd McFarlane, boom. But it's from the ground up. Al Simmons was black.
Yeah, but for no political reason, because it's cool, like that's the character he created. And it was also cool in the sense that like you weren't, McFarlane understood what he was doing. You're conditioned, your baseline thought is like, oh, superhero, probably a white guy, right? And he understood the power that it has, like the reveal in issue 4 or 5 or what have you of Spawn, where all of a sudden you realize, oh, Al Simmons is a black guy. But it's not like it's not political. It's just like, okay, cool, I can sign up with that, and you move on, and you're like, now it had an impact because you weren't expecting it, but it's not like you don't feel betrayed because it's not.
But the
original character. It's an original character, and you're going on board this guy's story for the first time. It's not like Bond, where Bond was conceived in a certain manner. You're not going to pull the rug out of people's feet and just try to completely reimagine the character or something else just to fit in with this politically. It's just nonsense to me, man. Really.
No, but see, machine. Do you know what the issue is? It's those, and I go against those people online who are like, yes, we have a black Iron Man. Yes, we have a black James Bond. Yes, we have I'm like, why is that a victory for you?
because they get to divide people more. It's like it's people that like to play identity politics and always have people pitted against each other. You know
No,
what I
no,
mean?
no,
Dude,
but
so
on
this
my thing, do you know what it's about? Basically, there's this Nigerian comic book artist and animation guy who is trying to make a Nigerian superhero.
I think I saw these guys actually. They're
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah, like
Is it just one guy or is it two guys?
it's one guy. You see, he was trying to make a cartoon series, didn't have enough money, said, but you know what, I'm gonna make a comic. I said, bro, I'm gonna fully support you. Kickstarter, I'm gonna fully support you. I put money in his whole thing like that. How many black people would put money and support him than go on Twitter and force Hollywood to make Batman black or make um, Human Torch black?
Uh-huh.
Because for most of them, you'd rather spend your energy forcing Hollywood to make this iconic Batman character black than help a guy from the ground up.
Of
Put
course.
money, support, help a black creator artist make a black superhero.
Right, yeah. Totally, man. Totally with you. And there's plenty, and the thing is, there's plenty of already. I'm always for like creating more diverse superheroes, but there's already a good sort of. There's a good run of solid black. Blade is the first one that I can think of, and then you have your Luke Cages of the world. You have Night Thrasher. You have there was a Green Lantern. There was a black character named I forget what his name is. There's two main Green Lanterns, right? Hal Jordan,
Yeah,
Kyle Rayner,
I think it's something Stewart.
Stewart, and the third Green Lantern, which was a cool Green Lantern because he had a totally different approach to his constructs that he did with his ring. Right? He had a more of an architectural engineering type mind.
Mhm.
Whereas Kyle Rayner was the artist. He came up with all these crazy ring inventions, just artistic inventions. Stewart was more of an engineer type. There's plenty. There's a lot, and if we want more diversity in the MCU and the superhero context, push those characters, but not at the expense of other characters, like they're doing, for instance, now they're trying to turn the Falcon into Captain America. You know what they did, dude? You know what they did in the comics? They turned Captain America, Steve Rogers, the ultimate symbol for everything that's good and represents good in the world. They
Yeah,
turned they turned him into a Nazi, man.
Machine. I'll be real with you. At the end of Endgame, when when Steve Rogers gave his shield to when George gave his shield to Falcon,
Uh-huh.
I almost screamed. Don't give
the shield to anyone.
and Machine, I don't care what anyone says. I'll say it now. War Machine, Falcon, garbage.
Yeah.
Bricks.
Not,
Useless.
not very well fleshed out characters, but
They're useless. They're useless.
yeah. I mean, the stars of the show, the most of them are useless if you think about it. The stars of the show are Iron Man and Captain America. The rest are sort of like garbage.
No, but okay. They're side characters, then they're side characters. Like those are like the ultimate bricks, and those flipping War Machine and Falcon. No, they're flipping useless. Like I hate them. That's
Right.
what,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. But dude, we could probably be speaking about this for an entirely different video.
Yeah, no, this is a separate. No, but yeah, like because I want to talk about your comic. Maybe like give your comic like a.
One of these days, I'll publicize it. Don't worry, man. It's called Tail.
No. Look, man. Like if we do like a comic thing, spend a few minutes, bring it out, show it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Talk to the guys, and yeah, let me help you out in my own little small way, guys.
Okay.
It's been swell. It's been good. We'll see you next time, guys. Peace out. Peace.